Have you ever stopped to think about the story hidden inside a simple penny? The 1980 Lincoln cent might look like any other copper penny you found in your change jar or picked up off the sidewalk, but this coin is a remarkable piece of American history, bridging the end of one era and the dawn of another in our nation's monetary system. Today, we're diving deep into everything you never knew about the 1980 1-cent coin, its creation, its place in the economy, the legacy of its design, what gives it value to collectors, and why this ordinary-looking coin still holds secrets waiting to be discovered by those with a keen eye and a sense of history. In 1980, the United States was undergoing significant economic turmoil. Inflation was high, interest rates were rising, and Americans were feeling the pinch at the grocery store and gas pump. The dollar's purchasing power was shrinking, and the cost of raw materials, especially copper, was climbing faster than most could keep up with. The Lincoln cent had been made of bronze 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin ever since its introduction in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. But by the late 1970s and into 1980, the price of copper began to spike so dramatically that the intrinsic metal value of a penny approached, and sometimes exceeded, its face value. When the copper content of a 1-cent coin is worth more than a penny, people start to hoard them or even illegally melt them down for scrap, threatening the supply of small change needed to keep the economy running smoothly. This reality forced the U.S. Mint to start planning a transition to a cheaper composition, which they finally implemented midway through 1982. But in 1980, the Mint was still striking the classic bronze cents, and the 1980 Lincoln cent was part of the last wave of these traditional coins. The 1980 penny was produced at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark stamped below the date on the obverse side of the coin. The Denver facility is one of the major coin-producing branches of the U.S. Mint, and in 1980 it struck an astonishing total 5,140,098,660 Lincoln cents. That's over 5 billion coins in a single year from just one mint facility, a staggering testament to how many pennies were needed to fuel America's daily transactions. Billions of these coins entered circulation almost immediately, jingling in pockets, filling cash registers, and spilling into piggy banks all across the country. When you look closely at the obverse of a 1980 cent, you'll see the familiar bust of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, and first introduced in 1909. Brenner's portrait of Lincoln was historic, as it marked the first time a real person appeared on a circulating American coin. Before Lincoln, U.S. coins typically featured idealized figures representing liberty rather than actual historical figures. This made the Lincoln cent groundbreaking and culturally significant. Brenner's initials, VD, which originally caused controversy for being too prominent on the 1909 VD cents, can still be found in small letters on the shoulder of Lincoln's bust. Above Lincoln's head is the motto, "In God We Trust," a phrase that first appeared on U.S. coins during the Civil War as an expression of national faith during times of strife. To the left of Lincoln is the word liberty, and to the right, the date 1980 with the small D mint mark below it, turning the coin over. The reverse design in 1980 still featured the Lincoln Memorial, a depiction first introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This reverse replaced the earlier wheat ears design that had graced pennies from 1909 through 1958. Designed by Frank Gasparo, the Lincoln Memorial reverse includes the full monument, with even the tiny seated statue of Lincoln visible between the central columns, if you look closely under magnification. Above the monument is the legend, United States of America, below it the denomination, 1 cent, and across the top of the building runs the national motto, Pluribus Unum, meaning, of many, one. The Lincoln Memorial reverse would remain on the penny until 2008, when it was replaced in 2009 with a series of 4 special designs for Lincoln's bicentennial, each depicting a different stage of his life, and then permanently in 2010 with the Union Shield design. This makes coins like the 1980D part of a 50-year chapter in American coinage history, the era of the Lincoln Memorial Cent. Collectors today often search through rolls of pennies looking for pristine examples from each year of the memorial reverse, and the 1980D is a necessary piece in completing such a set. So, what makes a 1980D penny valuable today? In circulated condition, which describes the vast majority of coins that have been used in everyday commerce, these coins are still worth just 1 cent. But the story changes dramatically when you find a 1980D cent in high-grade uncirculated condition. A coin that has never seen circulation, retaining its original mint luster and free from significant marks, can be worth anywhere from a few cents to several dollars. And if it's been professionally graded and certified as Mint State 66 or Mint State 67 red by a reputable service like PCG's or NGC, its value can jump to $50, $100, or even more, depending on demand. The term red in coin grading refers to the coin's original copper color. Over time, copper darkens and turns brown due to exposure to air and moisture, so coins with a full, bright red color are highly prized among collectors. It's this lustrous red shine that gives a freshly minted Lincoln cent its eye-catching appearance and makes top-grade examples so sought after. But rarity isn't the only thing that creates value. Errors and varieties can also dramatically increase a coin's worth. Though there are no famous or widely documented major errors for the 1980D cent, minor die cracks, die chips, off-center strikes, and double strikes have been found by diligent collectors. Some of these errors can sell for a few dollars to several $100s if dramatic enough. For example, an off-center strike where a significant portion of the design is missing can catch the eye of collectors who specialize in error coins. Similarly, a dramatic die crack that causes a raised line across Lincoln's face or the memorial on the reverse can make for a fascinating and valuable collectible. Collectors also check for repunched mint marks, though none have been widely confirmed for this date and mint. The history of the 1980D cent is also inseparable from the broader economic context of the early 1980s. Inflation had been accelerating throughout the 1970s, peaking in 1980 at over 13%, the highest annual rate since World War II. This period of stagflation, simultaneous inflation, and stagnant economic growth put enormous pressure on American families and businesses alike. Prices were rising quickly, and the Federal Reserve, under Chairman Paul Volcker, responded by raising interest rates to record levels in an effort to break inflation's grip. These economic realities affected every corner of American life, including the seemingly humble penny. As copper prices soared, the mint feared a repeat of the coin shortages of 1974, when the last major spike in copper prices led to panic hoarding of pennies. The mint experimented with alternative materials, such as aluminum, but ultimately settled on copper-plated zinc as the solution to rising metal costs. This new composition was introduced partway through 1982, so the 1980D cent stands as a snapshot of the last stable years of the classic bronze penny. Before everything changed, even the weight of the coin reflects this shift. A 1980D Lincoln cent weighs 3.11 grams, thanks to its bronze composition. By contrast, post-1982 zinc cents weigh only 2.5 grams. This makes it easy to identify pre- and post-1982 pennies by weight alone, which is something roll hunters and metal value enthusiasts often do, and despite their lower face value, these older copper pennies are still hoarded today by many who believe the metal might one day be worth more than the coin's denomination. Though it remains illegal to melt US coins for their metal content, collectors appreciate the 1980D cent not only for its composition, but also for what it represents: the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln is consistently ranked as one of America's greatest presidents, revered for his leadership during the Civil War, his unwavering commitment to preserving the Union, and his pivotal role in abolishing slavery. His image on the penny serves as a daily reminder of his contributions to the country. When you hold a 1980D penny, You're holding a piece of that legacy, a small but meaningful tribute to a man who changed the course of American history. And as the years go by, coins like the 1980D only become more interesting to collectors, who recognize their place in the larger story of America's coinage and economy. The 1980D also captures the unique artistry of the Lincoln Memorial reverse. Frank Gasparro, the 10th chief engraver of the U.S. Mint, designed the reverse in 1959. Gasparro was also responsible for the designs of the Eisenhower dollar and Susan B. Anthony dollar, among others. His depiction of the Lincoln Memorial was detailed and ambitious for such a small coin, and the fact that you can see Lincoln's statue inside the memorial with magnification speaks to his skill and dedication to numismatic art. For 5 decades, millions of Americans carried this little piece of architectural and presidential history in their pockets without ever realizing its depth of detail. The 1980D penny also represents a fascinating intersection of tradition and technological evolution at the U.S. Mint. By 1980, minting technology had advanced significantly from the early 20th century, allowing for more uniform strikes, tighter tolerances, and better quality control. Yet, even with these improvements, the sheer volume of coins produced meant that small imperfections still crept into the process, giving rise to the subtle varieties and errors collectors love to hunt for today. For anyone interested in assembling a date and mint set of Lincoln Memorial cents, the 1980D is an essential piece. While easy to find in circulated grades, finding a blazing red uncirculated example can be more challenging than one might expect given the high mintage. That's because most coins from this era were spent and quickly subjected to the wear and tear of daily use. Those few coins that survived in pristine condition often came from original bank-wrapped rolls that were put aside by collectors or dealers decades ago, never seeing circulation. The value of a 1980D cent can also depend on subtle market factors, like coin show demand, online auction trends, and changing interest in the Lincoln series. Sometimes, coins that were once considered common can suddenly rise in value if a major registry set competition heats up or if a new die variety is discovered. This is why collectors often recommend keeping an eye on coin publications, auction results, and grading population reports to stay informed about the latest developments. Ultimately, what makes the 1980D Lincoln cent special is not just its individual story, but the way it connects us to a larger narrative of American money, history, and culture. It reminds us that even the smallest, most overlooked objects in our lives can carry deep meaning. Whether it's the story of how a simple penny reflects the rise and fall of copper prices, or the way it symbolizes America's respect for one of its greatest presidents, the 1980D penny has a tale to tell if we're willing to listen. Next time you find one in your change, pause for a moment and imagine where it's been, who might have carried it, what it's witnessed over the last 40 years, and how it serves as a humble yet enduring piece of our nation's past.